Morning, everybody. My name is Damian Goodman. I am the campaign manager of No on Measure M 2016. And here we are right outside the I-5 freeway, one of the projects that will be delayed up to 40 years from this forever tax that's on the 2016 ballot this November. Behind me is a historic coalition of community advocates, transit advocate groups, civil rights groups, and elected officials representing the over 40 cities that are part of the South Bay Council of Governments, the Gateway Cities Council of Governments, and we are all here to tell voters vehemently to vote no on Measure M this November. It is by definition the most expensive tax on the ballot because it is forever. So we're encouraging voters on that long ballot to go to the back of it first, vote no on M, and then come to the front of the ballot. Before me, we're going to begin by talking about some of the issues that our transit advocacy groups have with it.
My name is Barbara Lott Holland, spelled BARBARA LOTT-HOLLAND. I am here with the Labor Community Strategy Center and our Strategy and Soul Movement Center, urging racial justice, social justice, and climate justice advocates to join us in defeating the MTA's racist Measure M. Yes, Measure M is racist and a regressive tax. Measure M is for a forever tax. MTA is attacking Black and Latino passengers with their stop and frisk. The MTA is waging war on Black rights. Black people are 19% of Metro's riders, and yet they are 55% of all Metro's fares, citations, fines, and arrests. The MTA is sabotaging the Crenshaw Subway project. Measure M is for gentrification and displacement. If it passes, Black South LA residents will be replaced with rich white people. Measure M is a disaster for the health of ourselves and the planet. We urge you to vote no on Measure M. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Sally Morales Havas, former Assemblywoman for the 56th Assembly District, but I'm here today representing Greater Los Angeles County League of United Latin American Citizens. We have taken a position to oppose Measure M. Measure M, as you've heard already, but we cannot emphasize enough, is an unfair tax. It's a tax that will be paid for forever, but for which people of some of the most impoverished areas of our county will never benefit, although they'll have to pay it forever. For every day for their shopping needs, or whatever they need to buy to clothe themselves and some items when they go out to eat and so forth, the practical things of life, and big ticket items. When they finally decide they have enough money to buy a car, that sales tax is going to increase the cost of that car, no matter where they live, even if they buy it in Orange County. And many people don't understand that where you live is the tax that you pay. So the League of United Latin American Citizens, the Greater Los Angeles County chapter, asks you to please vote no on this very unfair forever tax, which we will not benefit in major parts of our communities.
Sally on behalf of BLUAC, Barbara on behalf of the Bus Riders Union, myself on behalf of the Crenshaw Subway Coalition, along with Ron Hassan on behalf of the NAACP branches in Southern California, all signed the ballot statement opposing Measure M. Ron Hassan is currently in upstate at the state convention, but Tori Bailey is here to speak on his behalf.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Tori Bailey. I am a social action chair for the Beverly Hills Hollywood NAACP, and I'm here to represent Ron Hassan. And we want to talk about, he's our Southwest area director. We want to talk about no on Measure M and why the NAACP is opposed to Measure M. Simply, when you leave behind the blue collar communities and communities of have to call it what it is, racist. This tax is also a sales tax increase, an increase which we know is regressive, and it hits the low income the hardest. So we'd like to say that for this reason, the NAACP calls the LA County voters to vote no on whatever tax, and it averages about $7 million per county as a regressive tax. Thank you.
My name is BC Tangaloa, and I'm the Senior Minister of the Second Samoan Congregational UCC Church in Long Beach. And I think most of my coalitionists have talked about the specifics about why this ballot needs to be rejected. But I wanted to invite you to this whole notion of injustice, the whole notion of having many of the voices behind me silenced by a machine that puts these things up for convenience purposes. Take a look at some of those pieces, because as long as those pieces are in place, they will continue to oppress our folks and impoverish our community. We talked about the forever tax. That's a long time for someone to be enslaved, to be without responsibility, to rob us of the transparency. When it's forever, they don't have to come back every 2 or 3 years asking what the voters want to do. When we're talking about regressive, this whole notion of putting a big burden on those folks who don't make a whole lot, that's what regressive means. If you're making $100,000 and you're paying $10 for a cup of coffee, it's nothing. But if you're making $15,000 and you're paying $10 for the same cup of coffee, that's oppressive. And then the last thing I wanted to make, as a Christian, as a person of faith, we are asked to speak truth to power. That's what this exercise is about. We are in the minority, as you know. The measure's already on the ballot. So those folks who have the power were able to put that thing. Speaking truth to power means taking a position, going to the depth of your heart, finding out what the truth is. And that's what this is about. We're speaking truth to power, though we're small. And then the other part of that component is speaking truth to power with love. With love. Instead of sabotaging the system, instead of tagging the systems in the train, let's go to the ballots on November and vote. Vote no on Measure M. That's the loving thing to do, and I encourage people of faith to speak truth to power, but do it with love using the ballots. Thank you.
Thank you. First, I want to say that I'm really proud to be here with all you folks, representing a really wide and diverse array of folks that are opposing Measure M. My name is Mitchell Schwartz, SCHWARTZ. I strongly believe in mass transit, but I am against Measure M because this is a misleading campaign that's deceiving voters. They claim there's going to be a 15% decline in traffic. That's just another example of Metro math. If you saw the articles today by a reporter for the LA Times, it shows you the deceptions of the people that are doing this campaign. They never claim that there'll be a 15% reduction in traffic along this highway, or along the 101, or along the 110, or along any of the highways around Los Angeles. And then you ask the Metro leadership, and they just dissemble a little bit more, but the Metro leadership at least doesn't even try to make that claim. There's no 15% decline in traffic from what it is today. This is a regressive tax that hurts poor people. Regressive tax, sales tax are regressive taxes that hurt poor people. In that regard, this shouldn't be much of a surprise. Mayor Garcetti and his administration is continuing a war on poor and middle-class people. You saw it with their development policies that have made Los Angeles City unaffordable and have led to record-level numbers of homelessness. This is a forever tax. It never ends. It's turning Metro into another Department of Water and Power, an unaccountable agency that sucks billions of dollars from taxpayers. Finally, these are the wrong priorities. We need more mass transit. We need more buses. Next week, I'll be releasing a plan that will call for increased buses, more buses, lower fares, and without an increase in taxes. Again, we could do this. We could help mass transit. We need more buses. We could have lower fares, and we could do it without raising taxes, and I'll be releasing that plan next week. Vote no on Measure M.
Good morning. My name is Jack Humphreyville. I'm a neighborhood council budget advocate in the city of Los Angeles. My problem with Metro is several-fold. First of all, I think a 9.5% tax rate, sales tax rate for the people of Los Angeles is just unconscionable. And not only that, this will raise the sales tax rate in other parts of the city, other parts of the county to 10 to 10.5%. I also don't believe that Metro has earned, that the authority has earned a 33% raise in its taxes from $2.5 billion to $3.5 billion over the next whatever number of years it is. The authority is an inefficient operation. There's no oversight. There's been cost overruns all over the place, delays all over the place. That, to me, means they haven't earned it. The other issue that I have is that the politicians of this state are nickel and diming us to death. If you take all the taxes that are on the November ballot and you lump them all together, that's a $1.6 billion increase for people that live in the city of Los Angeles. If that's $400 a person. If you put all that money into the sales tax, it would increase our sales tax from 9% to 11.7%. And it would increase our real estate taxes by 30%. This half-cent increase in our sales tax is unconscionable. And it's unconscionable because the authority is an inefficient, bloated operation that is not working in our best interest. Thank you very much.
On behalf of the Black Community Clergy and Labor Alliance, we are here to say no to Proposition M. And we brought a rock with us because this is a classic David and Goliath struggle. The rich and powerful contractors versus the people. Measure M is a regressive tax, and working poor people will pay disproportionately. This is a forever tax, which means there'll be no transparency, no accountability, and our children and grandchildren will have to pay for it. And so we are all Davids now, looking for a rock, and that rock has no on M. And we know what happened when David found the right rock. He was successful. We will be successful because this is the wrong measure at the wrong time. And BCCLA stands in opposition strongly to it. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Opal Young, Chair of Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Homeowners Coalition. Well, I'll continue. We want a stand, or we're taking a stand in the situation of the M money being treated and sent to the affluent areas instead of including it in our area. Number one is about the Crenshaw Rail Line. It stops from one block at 48th Street on Crenshaw. It comes from three designs from Exposition 2 miles. It has three designs to 2 miles. And this is making sure that we are eliminated from any of the comforts of the rail line. I'm for the rail line, but we want it to go underground. The Homeowners Association Coalition want to tell you to vote no on M.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for having me. My name is Beverly Roberts, and I'm going to be very brief because all these other speakers said it for me. The only thing this M shows me is money, M, and that's something that we can't afford in our communities. So I'm asking everyone to vote no on this measure. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Michael Beatty, and I am president of the Los Angeles Council of Black Professional Engineers. Our organization has been around for years and years, and we have had many of our members that have worked on MTA projects. So I'm here today to stand before you and to encourage you to vote no on Proposition M. Good engineering requires a budget, and it requires a budget that you can stick to with some limits. It can't be possible to have unlimited money and believe that people are going to be responsible in building a project as large as the MTA is proposing. MTA has proven that it cannot have the well-being of communities at their major outcome, and that the competence of the project of this at Crenshaw is harmful to our community. Since Measure R was passed just 8 years ago, they have racked up more than $1 billion in cost overruns. All of their current big rail projects are behind schedule and over budget. With a record like this, what sane person could give them a blank check forever? Thus, we vote and tell you to vote no on M. Thank you.
We also have from the community Steve Bagley, the president of the Dorsey High School Alumni Association. Not with us today is the Beverly Hills Mayor John Murish, who was unable to attend, and the Beverly Hills Unified School District Board Member Lisa Korbatoff. I'm now going to hand over to Mike Mendez, the mayor of Norwalk, the portion where we talk about the southeast cities.
Thank you very much. I'm Mike Mendez. I'm the chair of the I-5 Consortium, and as I said, mayor of the city of Norwalk. I think important for you to know is the MTA, the measure, voting yes on it, has $3.5 million. So what they're doing is they're doing a lot of ads, TV ads, telling you all the pluses of Measure M. Mayor Garcetti has gone out, quite a few of his staff are out. He said he's put 40% of his time on this measure. So what I want to tell you is we, the Southeast cities, have opposed it. Our city councils have opposed this because it's a forever tax. And we're fighting a tough battle. And we hope that you'll get behind us, not listen to all of their campaigns. They're talking about jobs and all these things, telling you that the freeway traffic is going to get better. If you look at this right now, it's not going to get better. And they're not looking at coming into our southeast areas until maybe 4 decades. And the people in our communities are going to be paying that sales tax for maybe 40 years, well, forever. And so we would sure appreciate you voting no on Measure M.
Good afternoon and welcome to the City of Commerce. As the former mayor and current council member here in the City of Commerce, I'd like to mention that I also represent a board member of the I-5 expansion, and currently it is being stopped at Paramount. And if we had a port of water, we'd be the 4th intermodal port in the nation. Because behind me, we have not everyone from the COG who voted 21 to 7 to vote no on Measure M. The reason they're doing this is that we are the southeast cities cannot continue to have traffic. As you can see, in the last 10-15 minutes, we've not only had the traffic on the I-5 slow down, but an increase of traffic by the trucks because they come from the Port of Long Beach into the 2 largest railroads, which is BNSF and the Union Pacific. Once they get their merchandise, they travel back onto the 5, to the 605, to the 210, and on their way. So I'm urging everyone to vote no on Measure M, not just for all the truck traffic that the City of Commerce will get, but for all the injustice that this Measure M brings with the no sunset clause. It is a blank check. Please vote no on Measure M. Thank you.
I'm Larry Forrester, council member in the City of Signal Hill, and I'm saying vote no on Measure M. It's a regressive tax. My poor little city, which is 30% low income, is going to be paying taxes until forever. Now, I will tell you right now, Metro is earning $2.1 billion from the previous 3 measures. But this is another $861 million. But taking our projects, the 405, the 710, the 605, and moving them out almost 40 years. This is a tax that I cannot agree with. I cannot tell my citizens to agree with. And I say vote on Measure M. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Gene Daniels. I'm a city council member in Paramount. I'm also on the executive board for the Gateway Cities COG. The Gateway Cities COG is made up of 28 cities, and at our last meeting we voted 21 to 7 to oppose Measure M. One of the reasons why we're opposing Measure M because we supported Measure R back in 2008. Well, anyway, the promises that were made to us were never kept, and when they came up with Measure M, they took projects. Okay. Measure M, they took projects and leapfrogged them over the ones that they promised us in 2008. Like they want to tax to the influential neighborhoods of the west side, the suburban Pass. But they don't realize what we're trying to do is let the people know that about 100% of the people in the Southeast District of Los Angeles are in disadvantaged communities. Now with these disadvantaged communities, they need promises, they need hope. So with that hope, they came, Measure M comes out and said, vote for us and we'll fill your potholes, we'll fill your streets, we'll decrease the traffic on the freeways, and we'll do this and we'll do that. But they didn't tell the people that you vote for this, your 0.5% sales tax will go forever. And for your tax now will go to the affluent neighborhoods, and your projects to increase your neighborhood with traffic will be pushed back 35 to 40 years. So the people will be paying taxes for 35 to 40 years with no benefits. Well, see, Measure M don't tell the people that. And one of our main reasons why we're here is to inform the people of what their consequences are. They think they're going to get the streets filled tomorrow, 35, 40 years down the road. So they're being deceived. And we just don't think that's right. So I'm saying here on my own measure to ask you to vote no on Measure M for the people.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Richard Moore, Mayor of Santa Fe Springs. As we've heard, M stands for money and M stands for myth. That's why half of the cities in the county are opposed to Measure M. So who's behind Measure M? The establishment in the city of Los Angeles. Why? Because all the money is going there. Their new projects are leaping over some of the projects that they haven't finished yet. And that's why behind me you see so many mayors and councilmen from different cities, because half of the cities in the county are opposed to Measure M. So think about it. What are you going to get out of Measure M? Unless you live on the west side, unless you live in the more affluent areas of Los Angeles, you're not going to get anything, because they control the Metro Board, and we see that there's nothing budgeted for our areas. So I encourage you to vote no on Measure M. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I want to reiterate everything that my coalition has said. And certainly this is about fairness. It's also about tax that has little checks and balances. And so it's a forever tax, once again, with checks and without the checks and balances we feel are needed to monitor this going in the future. It's also about projects that have been leapfrogged. A lot of us have been working on projects for over 10 years, as I have, and now projects on the west side have leapfrogged, if you will, projects on the east side. And so it's not fair, and so for that reason, for several reasons, I urge you to vote no on Measure M. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is George Ray, City of Cerritos, Mayor. Let me make it clear, I'm in favor of public transportation, but I'm certainly not in favor of Measure M. Measure M is not fair. They're going to collect taxes from the people in our districts and move it to Los Angeles and the west side. If they'd have sat down earlier and worked this out, it might be a lot fairer. I can't support it. I believe the people in our area, we have higher unemployment, higher poverty rates than the other parts of the county that are getting this money. And actually, we should have been first in line and not last. I would hope that this measure would fail, and they would come back to the table in 2 years or 4 years and bring a fair ballot measure that the people, all of Los Angeles County, could support. Thank you.
My name is Steve Croft. I'm a councilman from the city of Lakewood. Like my other colleagues from the other cities have said, we're against Measure M. It's taking money out of our communities and moving it to LA. We see this as a violation of what we did when Measure R passed. There were priorities on projects that were promised us in our areas, and now those projects have been pushed out 30, 40 years. Most of us will not even get to see the projects that are being completed. And yet we and our families will be paying these sales taxes. The other thing that I have a big problem is that the Independent Oversight Committee is a committee that's being appointed by the MTA board. I don't think that's independent. If the MTA doesn't like what, the board complains about what they're doing, the board can just replace it. So if we're going to have a measure that goes on forever, you have to have the proper checks and balances. It has to be the priority for all of the county, not just for the major city that's trying to throw its weight around. So our community joins all the other ones in asking our residents to vote no on Measure M.
Hello, my name is Brent Tercero. I serve the city of Pico Rivera as a council member. I'm here today because a large portion of the southeast LA County, southeast cities are being left behind. We already were deprioritized under Measure R, and we're being deprioritized again under Measure M. Many of the projects that were slated under Measure R to serve the southeast LA County cities are being pushed back until 2030, 2040, 2050, when they were supposed to be built in 2020 and 2030. And they've been leapfrogged by projects that will benefit other parts of the county and the city of Los Angeles, while cities like Pico Rivera will not get the projects that were supposed to come to them under Measure R. Not only are we being left out of many of the light rail projects, but the freeway projects that would help relieve transportation and congestion problems that plague the southeast cities, those projects will not be funded until 2040 and 2050, making our cities, once again, disenfranchised when it comes to transportation funding here in LA County. That's why the city of Pico Rivera chose to take a position to oppose Measure M, and that's why the Gateway Cities Council of Governments also chose to oppose Measure M. And we urge you to vote against Measure M. Vote no on Measure M. Thank you.
Whether the message comes from South LA, the Southeast, or the South Bay, we are all concerned about the issue of equity. We're going to transition to the South Bay, where two of our major leaders have been El Segundo Mayor Suzanne Fuentes and Torrance Mayor Pat Fury, neither of whom could be today. But we do have with us the council member of Gardena, Dan Medina.
Good morning. The reason I'm here today is just like everyone behind me, we all have common sense. We were all raised not to ever give out a blank check. When you first open up your first checking account, your mom and dad told you don't ever give away a blank check. And if you vote for Measure M, that's what you're doing. One of the saddest parts about the South Bay area is that none of us are going to see any benefits from Measure M until 2043 and even 2045. Our grandchildren might be able to see some of that end result. But in the interim, we gave away a blank check to someone who isn't telling us what they're going to do and when they're going to do it, or how much it's going to cost. So on the South Bay cities, we're all voting no for Measure M, and we're asking all of you to vote no on Measure M. Y para ustedes que hablan español, voten no on Measure M. Thank you.
And then we've been able to secure support in the city of Los Angeles from two former council members, one Dennis Zine representing the Valley, and another who's here with us today, former Freedom Rider, longtime council member Robert Farrell.
During my time on the Los Angeles City Council, given the leadership of Mayor Tom Bradley, we worked very hard to bring transit to the Los Angeles area, and Tom Bradley succeeded. I think he would be disappointed at the lack of equity that is being shown in the works of the MTA, and most certainly in this issue that's on the ballot today. It's unfair. In reference to the ever tax, ever means ever. More than that, there's a bond of trust that was established with the leadership of the city of Los Angeles, the men and women who were in leadership positions in Los Angeles County during those days, to come together, to work through organizations like SCAG, and to work through organizations like what is now the MTA. And it was going to be something that would be fair and equitable. We here represent communities south of the 10 freeway, and we are not being treated well. Look at the numbers. Look at the way the programs that are on the roster are being treated, as you heard some of my colleagues speak, and you heard the community response. Our request is that this issue, this time, no on Proposition M.
That was our final speaker. We will take any questions. No questions, Laura? You guys are pretty comfortable. Anything from NBC? Any questions? All right. We are on
Measure M.
No on Measure M. No on Measure M. No on Measure M. No forever tax. No forever tax. No forever tax. No forever tax. Thank you all for coming.